my attention and my work on the matter of water purification to address the massive public health crisis of arsenic contamination in groundwater in Bangladesh and many other countries. Recently, it has gained public attention and funding, which has made clean water a more real possibility in Bangladesh and other countries. Yet, the work I have been able to do would not have been possible in Bangladesh. America has the educational, scientific, and economic resources, as well as the willingness to truly affect positive changes elsewhere in other parts of the world. And it is not necessarily from the government, but from individual citizens like you that this can be most effective. You, the new citizens, can make it happen. My third point is on untapped personal freedoms. In studying for your citizenship tests, I'm sure you all read about the Founding Fathers. It becomes mere history to us sometimes, but truly what the Founding Fathers of America envisioned was a grand but a set of ideals. Ideals that this country is continually striving towards and that we as citizens have the ability to implement and catalyze that implementation. The emphasis on freedom of religious thoughts and practice, of speech, of political ideology, makes America, at least in my experience, a uniquely inclusive society. I am a Muslim in America, which to me means two things. I am granted greater freedom to exercise my faith in this country than many other countries in our world. And number two, though I disagree with some foreign policies of this country, as a citizen, I have the duty and the ability to speak my mind and affect change from ground up. These are principles our country was built on, and what we as citizens have the duty to maintain. As John F. Kennedy said, this nation was founded by men of many nations and backgrounds. It was founded on the principle that all men are created equal and that the rights of every man are diminished when the rights of one man are threatened. Your citizenship to the United States of America is a right that you have gained, a right that you as member of the society have a duty to exercise responsibly, and a right that cannot be taken away from you. I am grateful for what it has brought me, and I wish you all the best luck.
Much better than they have experienced from the country of their birth. You and I are no different from those who came before us to become citizens of America. And I remember well the long flight my mother and three of my siblings and I took from the Philippines to this country some 48 years ago in 1961. It was not a jet aircraft, but a propeller-driven aircraft called Slick Airways. Just to kind of give you some thought about that. It wasn't that fast, and it took us 3 days to arrive to this country after multiple stops along the way. But most memorable time of my arrival was that my mother and the three of us became a naturalized citizen in 1962. So today, I'm honored to join you on this most memorable time in your lives. Now, each of you have a lasting vision which will become an obligation, a commitment to serve a nation that gave you and your families the opportunities which you have never gained before. The privilege of becoming a United States citizen is a priceless one which most people around the world would covet. You are the envy of those who cannot afford to be called an American. The promise of being an American citizen is for you to protect and cherish. It is a privilege and a right that some of us take for granted. The oath of allegiance which you will about to take will be a perpetual reminder that you cannot forget or you cannot give up so easily. Let me share a story which has been my lifelong constant inspiration. A few years ago, I had the honor of attending the retirement and award ceremony of a retired U.S. Army Sergeant, a World War II veteran who was also a prisoner of war. He later became an American citizen in 1945 after the end of World War II. His future wife was a young woman at 16 who helped American nurses care for American prisoners of war in Manila. They later married and raised a family of 7. Now, while he served in the United States Army for 20 years, stationed around the world, he left his wife at his home country to raise their children so he can send some money home to care for all of them. And after this soldier retired from the United States Army in 1962, he did not receive any awards or recognition for the service to his country. He and his wife lived quietly to work hard and to raise their children. And finally, when he was 80 years old, he and his wife of 50 years then were presented with their retirement and certificates of appreciation, respectively, some 38 years after his retirement from the Army. He was also finally awarded his Bronze Star Medal and his Prisoner of War Medal for his combat experience 58 years after the war ended. It was truly a memorable ceremony that day that fulfilled this couple's silent quest for small but important personal recognition. And this immigrant husband and wife is my father, Sergeant First Class Retired Tomas Taguba, and my mother, who passed away last April. They are my heroes, my role models, my inspiration, and the shining example of what faith in family represented and what it meant to them to being called proud Americans. They displayed their devotion and loyalty to this country. They demanded from their children to do the same. They sought not to call attention for their hard work, only that they be allowed to live in America, a place of hope and dreams for a better life. To them, my siblings and I are eternally grateful. And to me, they are the true models of American patriots in every sense of the word. All my father and mother wanted to do was to become Americans, to bring their children to this country and be successful. And I believe they accomplished their lifelong vision. Now, some of you have similar stories to tell, so you have the same stories to tell your children and your own families for many generations to come. Congratulations to you on this very special and wonderful occasion in your lives. Guard your privileges and rights as American citizens. Live the American values as you have promised to do now and in the years to come. So while we celebrate this moment, it is truly remarkable to know that being called an American is to be proud of your identity. Be proud of your heritage, which came from the place of your birth, that gave you the color of your skin, the language of your parents, and the way you worship your religion. And after all, we are a nation of immigrants and will always be. Thank you, all of you.
Fairfax County Asian Americans make up the largest percentage of our population. In 2006, Asian Americans accounted for about 17% of the county's total population, and I suspect that when we are finished with our census count, we're going to find out that that percentage is even larger. Their contributions to education and industry are many, and our Asian American neighbors have become an integral part of our community. Fairfax County is experiencing growth from newcomers from many parts of the globe, from the Middle East, parts of Europe, and from Latin American countries. Fairfax County embraces and celebrates our rich diversity, and we consider that to be one of our greatest assets. As new Americans, you have much opportunity as well as responsibility to be a good citizen. You are taking your oath of allegiance at a difficult time in the world and this nation, and we look to you to join in the task of helping our country to get back on our feet. In his inaugural speech, President Barack Obama urged us to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and begin again the work of remaking America. He spoke also of the waves of immigrants who have come to this country and who have made us great. I welcome you and I congratulate you as our newest Americans as you take this important step today. It is you and those who have come before you who have enriched and replenished this country, for America is a country that is always reinventing itself. On behalf of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, I thank you for what you bring and what you will contribute, and I welcome and I congratulate you as our nation's newest citizens.
Is to subscribe to abstract principles. They have concrete translation. But to be an American isn't to have one ethnicity. It isn't to have one dominant religion. It isn't to have one dominant race. It isn't to have one creed. It doesn't matter what your socioeconomic status is. It doesn't matter what you do. That doesn't make you an American. What makes you an American is when you subscribe to the principle that all men and women are created equal, with certain inalienable rights, among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now,
thank you very much for joining us in today's episode on the first ever naturalization ceremonies in Fairfax County Government Center. And I do hope that you can join us to welcome new Americans and to call them to public service in our American community on Friday, May 6, 2011. I repeat, Friday, the 6th of May, 2011, at the Fairfax County Government Center. The third naturalization ceremony is an important event in the celebration of Asian American Heritage Month in Fairfax County. Next month, for May 2011, I plan to show a program on Asian American pioneers in Fairfax County. Thank you all very much for joining us in my series, Fairfax County Stories by Lady Fairfax 2009, Filipino-American, Corazon Sandoval Foley. Thank you all very much.